Hello everyone again. Today in our second session, Kerem Kürkçüoğlu will be with us. He's a project manager for Soulcraft. He will be talking about how we can create teams and decide on the best teams and how can some money be generated through project management. Now I will invite him over. Hello, Kerem. How are you? Is everything all right? Yes, I am. Okay, everything is going well. How about you? I'm good too. So when you're ready, you can start sharing your screen. I will be here if you need anything. All right, thank you. So now I have shared my screen. I guess you can see my screen now. Yes, hello everyone. I'm Kerem Kürkçüoğlu, as you have introduced me before. For independent games and successful project management, I'll be making a presentation. So first of all, I'll be talking about how I can create an ideal game. I will talk about how we can build a team, but not at the project first, but the team first, and then establishing the designing the best project for that team, establishing the working system, and promotional campaigns, marketing strategies, and some other processes, and then prototyping and testing. Then I will be talking about what we can do with a demo we can create at the end. So let me talk about myself a little bit. I have been developing independent games for 5 years. I have started at the game design department. We have a team called Team Soulcraft. We develop games with them. So from the last gaming Istanbul, we have a game. So for those interested, the game is still out there. So let me start. So when managing a project, in terms of teams, there are two crucial issues. One is you are managing the time of your team members. Secondly, you are managing the motivation of your team members. So that is a motivation that comes from within. Yes, of course, there are some also issues that can demotivate people and issues that may lead them uh, to be distracted and why we shouldn't do these. So let me talk about the targets, the goals of the team. Yes, project managers are the people who create the teams mainly. However, as the project managers are those who build the teams, so you need to make a decision why you gathered these people together and how serious is this project. Let's say you are coming up with a project for 10 years and it's about artist perception. You have the design, the visuals drawn, but you do the project to learn and most possibly they will think that there's some lethargy in your working way. So for a newcomer, if you recruit them in the beginning, then you might end up demotivating the others. So it depends on how serious people are and their levels of skills. And then you need to come up with a potential member list. So there are many communities established for games, clubs, for example, associations, and there are some game gems. So I think the best way to find and recruit people are those game gems and some other similar events. So get to know those people, learn how serious they are, and then come up with a potential game um, team member list, and then start recruiting them. And make sure that your teams are not more than 5 people. Yes, there could be some exemptions. There's this project called Angelic, and I guess there are 40, 50 people working there. So you will be designing, if you're designing an independent game and if it will be a long-term project, you will make many decisions, and it's crucial to make those decisions unanimously. So I'm talking about a consensus. So coming up with members, partners, and taking common decisions, joint decisions, will prevent the other members' demotivation taking place. If someone is excluded elsewhere and not included into the scope of the game, they will lose their motivation, even though you don't realize. Let's say that you have the designers, the artists, and every other member, then you need to have an idea about the harmony among the members. Let's say that there are people you would like to work with for more than a year, but to be able to see how the team functions, it's always to the best for you to participate to a game jam and maybe try a short, maybe 2 week long project. And after maybe 2 weeks of time, it will not definitely be, yes, this is super duper and let's do it. But uh, let me, let's see if there are some tests about the products, if there are problems about the stages, then you can maybe come up with a new team. Let's say there's no problem about that. And then you have to come up with a project design. Let's imagine you have a dream project and then you started recruiting people. But then when you start recruiting people for that project, then people will consider that project belongs to you. This is how they will perceive it. So maybe they will have some challenges. And in the beginning, and I also would like to talk about how independent games have some weaknesses and some strengths as compared to the other games. The independent games have different mechanics, different concepts, and because of that fact, they maybe have a place um, in the market for the masses of players. Maybe we will be strengthening a visual and change the story and do it with the same mechanics. If you say so, maybe after a point, people will wonder why we do it. Do we do it? Um, and do we bring in something else? Is our purpose right? So at those points, people might start losing their motivation. That's why the project is supposed to be one that comes out of your team. And a common target is to be set, a goal to be set forward so that the team moves forward with you. It's not like your game, my game. So in team games, in teams, you shouldn't have such things. Let's say that you will add a dialogue and there is a dark character. You don't know how it will work out, but the artist comes up and says we should have so much fun dialogues that at the end of the day, the dark side of the story should be expressed through maybe dark humor. And then you will take that idea, include it into the game, and when there is once this idea is there, it then belongs also to the artist. So you should try to share, transfer people's thoughts uh, as much as possible into the game design. So let's say that the game is coming to form and you have designed it, and in the beginning you talked about how you can create that project, and after a while we should question, do the people share the same thoughts? Because in the designing process, the thoughts can go haywire, and sometimes some project team may diverge so along the path, and that's why you should make sure that you are on the same page along the way. And let's assume that you have built a team and then had a 2 week maybe trial project, and everyone is okay in their mind about this. Then you need to come up with a working schedule, a working system. And it's not like you will recruit a software developer and that person will do software only. No, but let's say that there's this artist, and the screen maybe will darken, but there should be waving or maybe ornaments coming up, displayed, and so on. And there's this code, a combination, and these can be maybe written with shaders. But do you want to do it with the shader or the artist? Will the artist come up with a specific asset? So these are some important questions. Let's say that the artist will do it, and then you will change your mind and ask the software developer to do it. But then all of a sudden, people will see the workload that they had not originally have had, and you will have your milestones, and people will find it maybe difficult to adapt to them, and there will be some extra work. So there could be always some different areas which might concern some others, but the earlier you do the planning, the um, easier the process will be, and you will not lead to any unnecessary loss of demotivation. And let's say that you have this project up and running, and then you have to audit the system, the work itself. So there are good systems. One is meetings, weekly, monthly, yearly meetings, and the other thing is collaboration. So let me talk about collaboration. You will ask people to allocate maybe 40, 30 hours of their weeks, and then you would work together, and then you will find out for what people work, and then you will get some information to see if there has been any changes in your milestones and so on. So that will be to do with the collaboration overall. And then meetings. What did we do the previous month or the week? And then under the light of these, you will then be able to tell how many more meetings you will have the next week or the next month. You need to collect some pieces of information. So either meetings or collaboration. I suggest you do at least one of them. If neither is done, then many projects are put on the shelf, unfortunately. And then if you have the meetings and collaboration and work sharing, Then you need to come up with some deadlines, some milestones for teams, for people. Yes, the deadlines differ. When it comes to deadlines, there are some challenges. Let's say you tell your software developer to come up with a system and bring it over to you, and then the software person comes back, writes back, or calls back and says that I couldn't do it, even though he claimed he could, maybe. Then let's say you told him, okay, then do it the next week. But that person indeed made a promise and failed, and then maybe can feel discomfortable. Yes, there was this deadline and I couldn't do it. So, yes, in the beginning, especially, deadlines could be wrong, but if you do not reiterate them and if you continue coming up with some missing deadlines or maybe over exaggerated deadlines, then people can tolerate it to a certain degree, but please be careful not to push people too much in terms of their toleration. And the other thing is about documentation. For professional companies, this is commonly used. So there are many things documented for in terms of software. If someone leaves his job, for example, there are the UI systems, so some visuals and documentations, photo designs, independent games or teams. As I said before, there should be like 5 people. But as the teams are small, after a while, you start maybe getting rid of that documentation. Yes, that there is a need for documentation, but if everyone agrees on same things and comes to terms, then you won't need documentation so much. But you need a game design document to ensure that everyone is speaking the same language. You will have the game designer come up with that document. Maybe it's about a demo. Maybe you have designed a process about the profile. So everything should then be pre-documented so that everyone speaks the same language. And the second thing, if you have thoughts to generate money from your game, then there's this finance document. You will share it with the investors or the designers, or when you are raising funds, you will talk about these in that financial document. But if you won't make money out of it, then you won't need that. So these two documents, finance document and also the previous one I talked before, there are some drafts available over the internet. So I suggest you look into those. So now that we have the working system, and then you have your weekly meetings, everything is going well. However, the number of people, if the number of people who are aware of your game is equal to the number of people in your team, then there is a problem. That's why you should start promoting, presenting this game to people, maybe with ready assets, you ready-made assets, or at hand assets. You can send this to your mechanics, and then you will need to start sharing their friends, because it will be bringing about some masses and also new people with whom you can test your game. I will go into the details of that later on. But here I have some channels that the game designers can use Discord. I guess is the most important one because people generally choose it later on to have dialogue with people. Those who come to your Discord and support you are like your maybe teammates, even. So maybe they can say, bro, can we do that? Or maybe, hey, this is nice, but there's something else needed. So to be able to make direct observations, Discord is very crucial. And when it comes to Twitter and Instagram, these are important to attract some other people. So, how frequently your posts are shared and with what hashtags and at what hours, maybe. So you can do it there and here here on these platforms. You can see, observe how successful you are and how good your game is and which aspects or features of the game gets the most commands, get the most commands, and which do never get any, or maybe the least. So you can see those, and also in Reddit, there should be some main issues that show your mechanics of the game. So you can maybe make a comparison. You can compare yourself to the other games, and there could be some good comments or criticism. Some may go to your Discord and go on with that discussion, and also make some suggestions. So Reddit is important, but not very frequently, and maybe rather intra-game mechanics sharing over Reddit could be maybe to the best for you. And for a project manager, indeed, what is the next process? It's about prototyping and testing. Let me talk about what a prototype is. Let's assume you have the character ASDW. It will be working on that, and you will be using that mechanics, and you will be modeling the character, and you have visuals, your camera, and ASDB, maybe the connections. You coded them, and then this is your prototype one with mechanics, so easy to understand, at least with the images or visuals. And then you will be coding the mouse. When you rotate it or move it, it will be changing the angles of the camera. So let's say you also coded that and integrated that to your system A or X. So with that, a prototyping system, it's really reasonable to line up your work, put them in order, and then you will be giving people something that they can play on a daily basis. So the features you do initially even can be tested and prototype. And let's say that there are 10 prototypes, and if there's it is not enough for people to understand your mechanics, then you will be having it tested maybe by your friends, your closest friends or relatives, and then you come up with your mechanics and be able to show it. And so, what's the exact point when you start showing your mechanics or sharing it? There's this question, which is definitive. What is the claims or assertions of our game? Let's say you come up with a Hollow Knight, and if you design dark or lovely bugs, maybe the game's attraction will grow. And you design, draw those bugs, insects, and then you maybe get a good feedback, and then your claim will be proven right. Or maybe you will increase the intra game interaction. Maybe this is your argument, this is what you claim, and you show it with some meta to people, and then your argument, your claims, or your argumentation will be proven right. So you say, if it happens as such and such, people will love our games. And then you will say that our visuals should be steady as rock, beautiful. And then if you do break those down, you will have your roadmap ready and which priorities will be there. So then you will come up with prototype 1 to 10, 35, and then you have proven, for example, that our game will be very striking. It will strike back at you, so you will have proven that argument or that claim. And then you will see what additional things people want. Uh, what are the unique mechanics? Are those really that much unique or special? So then you are done with it. Then you go to maybe prototype 35 and you prove your claim, your argument 35. And with the prototype 2, you maybe prove your second claim at prototype 85. And then you go to demo. So demo is the completed form of all of your previous prototypes and arguments or claims. So demo is maybe this. So let's say that you have your claims and you shown them, you have received your feedback from people, at least the people from whom you get your feedback. This game is proven, and probably there are some people else, some others who believe in the project. That's why a demo is stronger. It is strong. And if you are also looking for some money to generate some money, one system should be crowdfunding for those. So Indiegogo, Starter, like websites, or Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. I guess there was another website called as such. So you already have it tested by some other people, and with your sharings, with your posts, probably you have some people, some masses, some crowds you address, and then maybe through crowdfunding. Well, this is of course something else. It's something very specific. I cannot go into the details of that, but with that demo, you will go there and you will maybe have a chance to collect money from and with the people who believe in you. But yes, maybe the crowdfunding will take a month or two, you might say. Then you can go to the publishers, and those publishers can be those who are willing to share and publish independent games, some like 3D, some like other so unique mechanics. They love unique mechanics or unique atmosphere. So when you go to them and prepare your finance documents, explain how the game is moving ahead and what the process until the demo was like, if you can share and explain the details to those publishers, probably they will be returning to your calls, or they will get back at you. And then you will somehow receive a response. And about the publishers, let's say you have three claims or arguments, and you have five of them, you have five claims, and you have proven maybe three of them, and then you have 2 months ahead of you. Then you can start at that point emailing those publishers, because you can inform them, start informing them, those publishers. And when it comes to the investors, it's indeed a little challenging to make decisions, because when it comes to the investors, they are differently. then crowdfunding and publishing are the people who maybe do invest, seem like they are the investors, but they are, on the other hand, your teammates. If people are making an investment, but if their vision do not overlap with yours, then maybe it could be for the best for you not to go to that investor. Yes, you will include an investor into the project, but it's important for those investors to be maybe a mentor when needed, or maybe help you make decisions when the times are rough. So they will be maybe only giving money, but not be able to help you or even give you some bad advice. So this would be the worst. So at least there could be a good balance. Let's say you are going to give me that much money and not get involved in any decisions. Well, this might not work all the time because this person is giving you money, and probably, yes, there will be some comments, some ideas. If there is a bad decision, then their also involvement will affect your motivation. That's why when you are including investors, be very careful, be very careful, be very careful, I say. So thank you very much for listening. This was all I had to say. If you have questions, I can get them. If you would like to go into some further details, I will try my best to help.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Osman Barış. You said first team and then project. The project shall be developed together with the theme, but would it just work as the vice versa or not? Well, let me talk about my own experience. My team first was established based on a project because I had no idea. The team just owned that project, and we tried to conduct that project. However, there were some problems. Maybe, thinking skills are not the same with your colleagues. Maybe for you, the dimension of the project is different, and for the others as well, it might be different. So if you do not agree in the beginning with the rest of the team, sometimes these projects wouldn't actually continue or wouldn't work. And sometimes you agree on a project and you work for maybe 2 years and a half, but there is no outcome or output coming out. And then you just start thinking, maybe you can just make maybe a different project because you have been developed yourself, you have been improved yourself within the process, so you can just leave it alone and just start a new project. However, I've never seen such an example if one team just is composed and they work and just create one successful project outcome. I've never seen it. I've never observed that. It is rare. It might happen. It might happen though, but I haven't observed it myself. Umut Yılmazoğlu has a question. The projects that you have developed before, when you think of them, could you please talk about the most common and the most frequent questions that you come up with? Well, as the team Soulcraft, we had a first game. Well, I was the software developer, and we included an artist afterwards. We have created the team within a year. However, the scale of that project was open world IPRG. So it was our own project. We didn't know a lot, about the things, and you're trying to do an open world. So I was not informed that much, 5 years ago, or no one else in my team was informed that much. So actually that project blew off, unfortunately. And then we continued with the First Sight game. It's called First Sight. So we were students, by the way, back then. and it created a huge problem because we had to study and we were trying to conduct the project, and it was quite challenging, to be honest. Well, now we're all, graduated from the university, so that's why we can all focus on our own project. However, I believe that the most important problem is the lack of money plus working in other tasks or other jobs. So if you have a committed team that is only working on the game, and if everyone loves one another, your only problem could be time, and that's it. Sardar 146 has a question. Well, projects, could they grow organically or not? Well, in case of, problems, maybe some people will leave the project and some others will come and be part of the team. Of course, it's a team that is composed only for project purpose. And for projects to influence people, the scale has to be big. And for the independent game developers, I think this is the most common problem, starting with a really huge, big project, because it can decrease the possibility of happening of a project. Well, it's just like a giant, monster. How come you can just create it? So the thing which is difficult is making it happen, creating this giant monster. And also many people come and go into the team, and you have to just build new relationships with the newcomers, and people just get used to one another's behaviors, habits. So a stable team is, of course, a preference. Of course, it is really important. Sergen Turan has a question. Well, me and my friend, we develop games. We put the game into the Google Play, and this is how we are planning to make money. Well, do you think that we look for investors? How about the pros and cons? About investors, it is exactly how I explained it. Your vision is important, and if you can find someone whose vision is overlapping with you, then it's really great, because otherwise it can end up as a disaster. Visions overlapping, same visions, these are really important. And by the way, you can really knock the doors of broadcasters and publishers. They actually play an important role in the sector. While for the hobby sector, yes, there's this risk of stealing your idea. It is a risk, but if you have an original idea really, and you want and you believe that only this team can just think of this game and create, but no one else, then you can maybe go after it. So mentalities as well should be the same. This is how we define the doability. So when we think about publishers and broadcasters, yes, you can maybe apply to them, but investors, an investor can make maybe a hobby game, and maybe makes a lot of profit and can direct you because you work on the mobile game. Yes, it's a good maybe choice. However, an investor out of the game industry, it also brings actually a huge risk. Osman Barış has a question. While in a team, different people can spend maybe different times, allocate different times for the same project. How would this work? Well, in my team, actually, this is the case. I spend all my days in a week, and my software developer generally spends 3 to 5 days, and the artist spends time when he is not writing his thesis. So yes, everyone allocates a different time. In such cases, we actually have flexible deadlines. For example, we just say that, the sprint background shall be finished within 3 weeks. So this person is working as a freelancer and with a flexible hour. So just adapting, herself into the system. And by the way, if we are managing to just get a salary and make money out of other things, And if you just spend, the rest of your time for maybe for the game, then yes, flexible working hours would work fine. Merit has a question about the marketing. Well, should we need a person who knows about the marketing, or should we maybe just get maybe third-party service from an agency? Which one would be better? Could you please a little bit talk about your own experience on that? About marketing, we have never had such an experienced friend within our team. And that was not the case also for other teams. However, I think that is also logical, to have a marketer within your team, a person who is capable of conducting the marketing, who is asking for maybe campaigns, looking for contents, a person who wants to try and test out different things. And I think that is good. About the agencies, it depends on how good they are. Because advertising your game in YouTube, if it is an independent game, is a good manner, it's a good way, but they of course charge money, agencies, and after they get the money, it depends on how it is paid. Well, for example, if it is mass funding, you will just make the calculation. But if you have the funder, investment funders, then you should be asking the question how to spend the money. And generally, broadcasters and the publishers, they handle the marketing issue in the first place. So for the PC and for the mobile, working with actually the broadcasters and the publishers are good advantages, I believe. So I would just say that work with publishers for advertisement and learn from them and do it yourself afterwards. Crowdfunding, of course, is important in that point. Well, a small team and a small budget, making advertisement with these two pillars. What type of a campaign shall be managed if these are the things that you have in hand? Yes, developing a project is one task, and advertising it is another task. It requires time. So I don't know what is there. However, while actually developing the game, what we say is that if you come up with something fun, if you'd like to share something, it wouldn't take more than 1 minute, just record it in a Windows game and just send it to us. Just share the screen with us, and that's it. Screenshot with us. So sharing what they want would create better communication and relationship with the others. Furthermore, you might prepare everything yourself, all the effects and everything. And it is also good, but it is not enough. While coding, I've seen such a bug, well, I actually twisted my brush and it created something really aesthetical. Sometimes you just change it or turn it into something fun, and it's good. Mert has a question. Again, if you publish it via a publisher, what would be the disadvantage for you? Yeah, well, publishers are just people like us. They only have money, so they are experienced, of course, about publishing the games. Just look at the games of the publishers, the successful games and unsuccessful games of the publishers. Analyze them, look at them. Sometimes publishers actually sign a deal, however, they do not launch the product. So there might be a few reasons. The developer studio, well, as they are not committed to what they are promised for, maybe the publisher is canceling their agreement contract, or the project changes, their mind, they just cancel it, or maybe they just change their minds about the impact of the games. Or sometimes young people are quite amateur, sometimes I believe that you can even create a better advertisement than the publisher, because you know the game the best. So that's why the level of the success of the publishers is important, but also their unsuccessful projects matter. Another maybe disadvantage of young people is that you maybe lose your share. You get a decreased share, but you get a share, a bigger share from something else. And in the context of creativeness, sometimes you just think of adding, different things, but publisher might stop you and just, instruct you to not to add anything else on the game because they are the ones that are paying the money. So it's really good to work with actually reputable, famous publishers. Osman Bash has a question within the team, the level of the democracy, how should it be? What should be done in case of a problem and a challenge? Within the team, I believe that an endless democracy shall be sustained, especially in the independent teams, because you do not have a money motivation. Yes, maybe it is a feature, actually motivation, but you spend your time, you actually put out your work labor. It's really important to actually maybe take decisions actually together, right? So sometimes you give time to people and everyone thinks that their idea is the best and it's good, but in the end of the day it's really important to have this unanimity and a consensus. So just set a time, with yourself in the beginning and just, decide on how much time will be spent for a specific team, and then rethink about it. And if it is an emergency, by the way, it will worth it. You can just talk nights and days long because it's really important. Because sometimes you come up with ideas that you have never thought of. So yes, there are beneficial debates and maybe unbeneficial debates. Sardar Tran has a question. Intellectual property rights, do we have to get it or not? You don't have to get it. I think this is important. You are creating a visual, you give it a certain qualification and then you publish it. And you might have the proof that yes, this visual belongs to this project or that project. However, this barrier can be eliminated as such. The graphics are changed totally. And they maybe change and set the light degrees, for example. But it wouldn't require you to get your share of intellectual property rights because you design a project on the basis of the team. And it would mean that, yes, you are very committed and you will make this project. Yes, there are other people who can steal your project and who would do your project, but then you might think, well, why on earth they would steal your project and do exactly your project? Because they have their own ideas and they can instead make their own project, because otherwise they will be making only your advertisement and that's it. Another question from the attendees. If you do have any other question, please shoot it out. We have 1 minute left. I guess there's not. Kerem, thank you very much for your participation and for your presentation. And thank you very much. Great answers to great questions. Looking forward to see you in the coming events. Thank you, Kerem. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. Thank you.